while we are waiting, I guess while we're waiting for the authenticator server to working, while we're doing this, Shadow Tower carries, we could talk about like a little bit about the new Shadow Tower update, which I absolutely think is amazing. There's just a few things I would probably change, and this is in relations to people saying nerf Shadow Towers and stuff like that. I don't think you should nerf Shadow Towers. I think you should rebalance it a little bit. That might be a fancy word for nerfing or change or whatever. But my suggestion is that Ultra mode is great. I feel like that's where you need to find a group and you need to work together better, you know. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that on hard and normal, but for me, normal is also perfect. It's just hard version that is not really cutting it for me. The first four bosses is great. The first four bosses works absolutely amazing, but the last two doesn't, I feel, because I can solo, and that might just be me or somebody else, but I can not solo the last two bosses, but I can solo the first two bosses of Ultra, but I can't solo the two last bosses of Hard. I can solo the first four, not the last two, which doesn't really make sense to me. I guess I get that it has to get harder and harder and harder, but, you know, kind of linear for me. It doesn't make sense that I can't do the last two bosses of one thing, but I could do the first two bosses of something that should be harder. So I feel like maybe changing hard mode to have like a 50% damage reduction, like Ultra has 90% or something like that. But I feel like maybe that have 50 overall, so you can basically, if you can do like the boss previously to what you just did, you should do the next boss. If I can do the first two bosses of Ultra, I should be able to do the last two bosses of Hard, right? So basically, it's kind of a buffed damage or wise or something like that to the first bosses being a little bit harder, but then we are actually able to do these last two bosses of Hard without, like, because the game actually requires you to have 2,500 power rank to do Ultra Hard mode, Daughter of the Moon. But if you take a full group of 8 people, because I know you said that just get group, right? Just get a group. And if you take a full group of 8 people, and they all have like set 2,500, maybe even a little bit more, but that's what the game requires, right? You can't do it. And that seems also unlogical to me, that this is the requirement, but you need about 10 times as much damage or power rank to even do this boss. So that's kind of also really unlogical to me. Doesn't really make any sense, but that also is kind of the Uber world or the Prime worlds or any of the Elemental worlds or anything like that. Kind of is the same issue, but I feel like that works better in that sense. And we really need to get these rewards a little bit different. And my feeling is that rerolling the stat, I feel like the focus things that you upgrade your gems with is absolutely great. Those works perfectly. Maybe a few adjustments here and there and stuff like that. You can argue about that. But my really concern is the rerolling system. I feel like it's too expensive, and not the thingy you get out of random bosses and the Empower Gem box and stuff like that. I'm talking about the Lunar Souls. Now that Daughter Moon is so hard, basically you can, if you're let's say you're a new player, if you're a player that gets to 20,000 power rank, let's say that, now you can do Daughter of the Moon Ultra, and you get a group and whatever, and you have 0 Lunar Souls, right? You will only be able to get 2 rerolls a week. Two rerolls a week. And you might say, oh, two rerolls a week. That's a lot of rerolls. Yeah, but there's also a big chance of you not getting the stat you need, right? So currently on my Gunslinger, I need 24 rerolling stats. I need to reroll 24 times if I'm the luckiest guy in Trove ever, you know? If I get the right stat every time I roll, right? There's a few things I need to roll and get to on the golden stats and all that shenanigans, but basically I need to get, right now, since I'm not really doing Ultra Mode, Dawn of the Moon, I actually have to use this in 24 weeks. But yeah, you can argue that I could also do Ultra Mode, Dawn of the Moon, and then I would have 2 rerolls. I would still have to get 12 weeks. And that is if I'm the luckiest guy in Trove ever and getting my right rerolling stats all the time. So I'm just saying, 12 weeks are still a very long time. And I know you want the game to last, sure. But still, 24 or 12 weeks, 24 weeks is still a very long time for one character. I got 15 of them. Quick math in my head I can't do, but I can calculate pretty quickly that it's gonna take me a very, very long time to get perfect stats, or at least roll the stat to something perfect. And this is, again, if I'm talking perfect time every time with 15 characters, and I'm not even saying the other might have more or less not times to reroll, but still, I feel like 3 Lunar Souls for 1 reroll is too much. I feel like 1 is maybe what you would think would be a little bit too cheap, but I still feel like with the randomness there is in it, you could get, I'm just saying, 1 Lunar Soul for 1 reroll kind of makes sense. Even if you can get 6 Lunar Souls a week, that would be 6 tries, yes, but you also kind of are in the end game. And I also kind of feel like there should be more reward with the rerolling system. So this was just my opinion about how the rerolling system. We were waiting until the Syndicator server is probably up by now by my little rant here. But if you see this video and you're a developer or you're a person that has some connection to developer, I would appreciate if you would just consider it. It's kind of generally like this. I do this on my stream, and I feel like this is kind of the complaints that is kind of changing the last 2 bosses there. I think if you adjust those 2 and make the rerolling a little bit cheaper, I think people would be pretty happy about the update. I think you guys would have some pretty happy campers around. Again, I'm not a developer, so I don't know. But this is my opinion and my community's opinion. I hope you listen, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.